Day one of the P. Diddy verdict watch, and we may have a rogue juror. Hi, I'm Melba Pearson, also known as the resident legal diva, and it is time for another Daily Diddy, bringing you daily trial updates from the P. Diddy case until we get a verdict. So, I did not do a recap of the defense closing, so let me just do that right quick before getting into what happened today in court. So, on Friday, the defense gave their closing arguments after the marathon prosecution closing arguments that went for 4 hours and 49 minutes. I still can't get over that. Anyway, so the defense, their arguments were pretty much what we heard the entire trial. I still am gagging over the fact that the defense counsel actually got up and said that Diddy and Cassie had a love story for the ages. Sir, he was beating her. That's not a love story. But anywho, so of course they were trying to attack the credibility of the various witnesses, saying that everybody had a reason to lie. So that was that. The defense tried to paint all of it as consensual acts, that basically Mia, the personal assistant who said that Diddy had sexually assaulted her, that she was somehow lying, and that this was somehow consensual, that Capricorn Clark was okay with having a gun held to her head. I mean, the foolishness he was spouting, I'm just hoping the jury sees past, that. Now, if you want to talk about RICO, whether or not the prosecution proved that, fine. But to say that somebody consented to have a gun to their head, sir, stop the foolishness and sit down. But anywho, so with that being said, the prosecution gave their rebuttal argument, encouraging the jury to focus on the facts and really look at the fact, like, listen, for instance, Jane, she didn't file a lawsuit. So what would be her motivation to lie, right? She's not getting a payout, that sort of thing. So that was that. And the prosecution then, ended their closings, and then the judge gave the instructions to the jury. So the jury was instructed this morning. They were given paper copies of the jury instructions, which tells them about the law, the process for deliberating, the definition of reasonable doubt, things like that. So they went back into the jury room. They did select a foreperson, and that person, of course, unnamed, was a 45-year-old woman of color. I believe she's African American, but again, various reports didn't really give me a good handle on that. But we do know she's 45 years old. She works in the health industry. She's a single mom. She had gotten a ticket back in the day for like an open container or something like that, and was like marginally aware of the Diddy case. So there's that. But while they were deliberating, they deliberated for about like 70 minutes before they had a problem. And the foreperson in the jury sent a note to the judge saying, juror number 25 is having a problem following the law. Okay, right off the rip, that's not good. So juror number 25 is someone that has a PhD in like molecular biology, is working as a scientist, but is also a veterinarian. So, I mean, I kind of have questions about all of that unless he's working on scientific research having to do with animals. Anyway, all of that seemed a little strange. He lives in Manhattan with his partner, and apparently he was having trouble either A, grasping the concepts, or B, understanding that you have to, look at every single element of the crime. I mean, it's not fully clear, but basically, they sent that to the judge. The judge asked the prosecution and defense how they wanted to handle it. And so basically where they landed is that the judge sent a letter back to the jury saying, listen, y'all got to stay on point, follow the law, and, read everything through and be thorough in your deliberations. And if there's another issue, please bring it to my attention. So that's where it was left. And my understanding is that they resumed deliberations. So if the problem persists, there is a way to be able to move forward without this becoming like a mistrial and a whole big drama. So basically, there were, as we remember, there were 6 alternates that were picked along with the 12 jurors. We already have one alternate that got placed as a result of realizing that one of the jurors was not forthcoming as to where he actually lived. So now there's 5 other alternates remaining. Even though they've been discharged, so to speak, they're no longer participating in the trial, they could get that phone call and saying, hey, one of y'all's got to come back, right? And so then they would swap that juror number 25, out for one of the alternates, but then they have to start deliberations from the beginning. They can't just pick up where they left off. So that's a possibility if that one juror doesn't quite get it together. So day one, wow, it's going to be an interesting few days. I still think we'll have a verdict by July 4th. All right, bye.